The legal industry is scary to most people, right? Raise your hand if you like an attorney. No one raises their hand.
Right.
In any sales, it's emotional driven. I want those leggings or I want those knives because I want the benefits of that. With a law firm, we don't have that. Like at the end of your case or whatever, there's no like rejoice, right?
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Offshore Marketeer Show. Today, I've got a special guest for the first time, Leonard Scheiner, who has actually been helping law firms, solo attorneys, business owners for the last decade or so, with a focus of actually developing their brand and marketing for new clients and predictably growing revenues, as well as increasing their online authority. One firm actually achieved 300% in revenue, while others have earned millions of dollars worth of new business driven from Leonard's frameworks and tactics. Today, he is the CEO of Geek Haus, a law firm marketing agency based in Los Angeles. Leonard, thank you so much for coming on and give us some of your time on the show today. I hope you're doing well. And how's things going?
Fabio, it's a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. So you're based in LA. We call it the Golden State.
It is.
A lot
Sunshine.
of good things. Yes, sunshine. In fact, we were talking about before we actually turned on the camera, let's say. And I'm just curious, in LA, there's a lot of things from a lot of people start their journey there, specifically in Silicon Valley, and also all these different startups as well as Hollywood, as we actually mentioned before before we start recording. How did you actually start your journey as perhaps a marketer or an entrepreneur? How did everything start?
As you mentioned, I'm in Los Angeles and based here in Los Angeles, California. And I was born and raised in Central California, so always been in this area and grateful and fortunate to have founded my life here. But like I said, I grew up on the Central Coast, and then as I was going and moving away for college, I was looking for jobs or internships, and my first internship was with a law firm in Irvine, California. And from there, I just built and grew and really had a hunger for knowledge. I knew that starting out, I was in college at the time, I was green, as they say. And so I wanted to jump into an industry where I could make a career. And that was important to me. So law happened to be that first internship, and it's been a great industry to me ever since.
Fantastic. And perhaps what skills did you have to learn on the way to become perhaps who you are today?
That's a big question. What skills did I have to learn? I think when you are starting out in any type of industry or any new profession, right? I think a lot of listeners in your audience have new businesses that they're looking to start, or maybe they've started new businesses recently. And I think a founding pillar for myself was to always be open to what's new, right? If we're looking at 2022 now, and we have people spending millions of dollars on NFTs, people investing millions of dollars into crypto. And if you asked any of us 10 years ago, is that what would be happening in 2022? I'm pretty sure we would have not said crypto would be going crazy and NFTs are going crazy. One of the fundamental things is that always be open to what's new. And when I started out as an intern, it was in marketing, and I didn't pigeonhole myself into just marketing. I wanted to do a little bit of the administrative work, a little bit of the finance work. I wanted to do a little bit of the marketing, of course, but also some of the legal work. I wanted to know if I'm marketing a product, I need to know what that product is. And so by diving into the nuts and bolts of what does a case look like for this practice area or that practice area, it really let me have an inside view on the emotions and everything that kind of goes into hiring an attorney, working with a professional, anything like that. Always be open to what's new.
Actually, you've probably done what I think it's Jack Ma said in one of his interviews, that when in a small company, when you're starting, actually, that's what you should be doing, to actually learn as much as you can. And instead of pushing paper and doing photocopies, you actually learn a bit of everything so that you actually improve your skills as well. So that's interesting, because I actually had to do the same thing when I actually started working in the financial sector. I started as an intern in the brokerage business, and I had to do a little bit of everything to understand exactly how the product worked, and that it actually included on pushing a bit of printing and copying to actually send clients their forms, and being on the phone as well. And so it's actually interesting that you say that. So you've obviously grown a bit with your agencies, and how did you actually, what happened from going to working at this law firm and learning what was the biggest aspect of working within the law industry? What were the biggest things that you probably learned about that you perhaps see differently in other industries that you can share with us?
Let me bridge the gap in the story. So going from working for a law firm, I quickly moved out of that intern role just because that wasn't the best use of time for myself. But from there, it was different marketing roles in different capacities. That was a litigation firm, business and real estate litigation, which is one of the more difficult firms or type of firms to market for. I didn't know that at the time, but I started off in the deep end, which was good. And then the firm actually chose to diversify itself. So we opened up a sister firm that was consumer focused. So over here in the business and real estate litigation, construction litigation, healthcare, it's a lot of, as you say, paper pushing.
Right.
It's voluminous, but in terms of the output, it's litigation, it's case. But on the consumer side of the practice was student loan law and bankruptcy, and more where we could actually do traditional advertising and then have a lead generation advertising versus more of the connection-based advertising. After seeing that landscape, I moved on from that firm or few firms and took a tour of the industry. So went to an immigration firm, went to an estate planning firm, and I feel thankful that I did all of those different changes, because whether I had them as I was there or they were a client, it's been nice to be able to see what works in different sectors of industries versus others. Yeah. Remind me of your second part of your question there.
What was the differences between the legal industry and, for instance, the e-commerce as well? You obviously probably saw different types of clients, now to say the least, but what was really the major difference between dealing the marketing sense of things, perhaps the legal things, the legalities of you have to do the marketing, versus, let's say, if I just sell, I don't know, mouse.
Widget.
Like this,
Yeah.
or widget, whatever.
Sure. Yeah. The legal industry is scary to most people, right? Raise your hand if you like an attorney. No one raises their hand. I even get the question, Geek Haus, my agency is a law firm marketing agency. So we're 90% attorneys. Before Geek Haus, I was did different creative agencies. I had worked for a few agencies that were not law firm related, and they were doing entertainment marketing and personal branding and authority generation and public relations and all of these other things. And e-commerce. I saw the difference between those. And one of the key differences is that nobody wants to hire an attorney, even if they need to.
Right.
So even if you need to get a divorce, even if you need to file for bankruptcy, even if you need to start your business and you want to, even if it's a happy event in your life, divorce is not happy, so you don't want to hire anyone to deal with that. That's understandable. Bankruptcy is supposed to be a relief. So that should be a happy time in someone's life. Or if you're starting a new business and you need to form your company, that should be a happy time in your life. But no one likes to hire attorneys. So a key part of the marketing is not to really address that side or that desire or that want in someone, which if you're marketing something on e-commerce or something else, you're going to talk about how they desire that product, that mouse, that widget, the leggings that make you look great. I want it. The set of knives that are amazing and cut through tomatoes. I want it, right? But do I want to spend money on an attorney? Even if I want the goal, I want the outcome of working with an attorney, I don't, as a consumer, or mostly, I don't want to pay legal fees. So one of the challenges in selling legal or developing business and marketing within the legal sector is that you've got to be better than your next competitor. And what I mean by that is if the person needs to get this done, they're not going to give money to someone because they want to. They're going to give it to someone who is going to solve their problem quickly, efficiently. And so the marketing message or the angles that we take are not based on dangling a carrot like they would do, or 50% off or something like that you would do in a consumer market, but it's more about this is a brewing problem that needs to be taken care of because of what could happen in the future. It could get worse, you could lose some rights or something like that. So the messaging and the angles are very different than, I would say, any other industry.
Would you say that the marketing is more based really on a changing in emotion itself, rather?
In any sales, it's emotional driven. I want those leggings or I want those knives because I want the benefits of that. I want to be able to cut things easy. I want to look nice. But with a law firm, we don't have that. Like at the end of your case or whatever, there's no like rejoice, right? Usually, unless you're getting a settlement, there's no rejoice. It's everyone just took a little bit of a clipping. And so without that lack, or I should say with the lack of immense joy, we've got to take a different approach. And you're absolutely right. It's about building the relationships and more so sharing with them who we are and how we can help them and why they should take care of this. And it's in their best interest.
Sure, absolutely. So as the agency itself, when you created Geek Haus, when was or how did you actually approach or get new clients? What was the strategy perhaps, or did you follow a specific framework that you already knew or learned?
Yeah, there is an amazing gentleman by the name, we'll call him John. And John shared with me that your output is equal to your input, or probably better said, your outflow is equal to your inflow. And so when marketing for the agency, it's professional services. You can't go to Target and buy it off the shelf. So it's got to be a relationship. And I built Geek Haus off of email marketing. And I'm probably one of the only agency owners that has chosen to use very few ways to develop business Most agencies will, try everything and they're doing lots of different things at once. But whether it's for myself or it's for my clients, I'm very attached to what are the activities and what are the results. If we're doing a whole bunch of activity but not getting results, why are we doing the activity? It's busy work, right? We don't want to be doing that. So as a business owner, every minute, every hour that we have to spend on our business, we should be looking at how we can maximize that time spent. I built Geek Haus off of email marketing purely because I knew that if I was to do Facebook ads or another type of consumer-based marketing, my ideal client is a law firm. It's an attorney, it's a lawyer. So they're probably not going to be on Facebook, or if they are, they're not looking for marketing services on Facebook. But if I was selling, like you said, a mouse or a chapstick, I would run Facebook ads because it's a lower ticket item, it's a consumer item. So that's how Geek Haus was built. And our first client was from that. And actually, all of our organic clients are from that. Of course, we have referrals and word of mouth and different podcasts and things that are out there, but we're very focused on the 1, 2, or 3 methods of generating leads and then, of course, converting them. But what I mean by not doing everything is you won't see Geek Haus with an amazing Facebook and YouTube and then like everything going, and interviews and partnerships and events and all of these different outreach methods. That would be great, but it takes a large team to flesh that out. It takes maintenance, all of those things. And if the business isn't ready to handle that, then that's somewhat of a problem sometimes. So then we want to match the volume of leads to what the business can handle.
How do you get consistently focused on your audience and try not to get distracted? Because personally, I do get distracted. I try to do a bit of everything because I want to learn. I think of myself sometimes as a sponge because I want to try and I want to test things out. But how then do you actually stay consistent within your, let's say, your strategy?
So we tried lots of things and I found that email marketing was our best conversion. So that's where we focus now. In the beginning, you've got to try a few different things because you want to find what works. But ultimately, I'm thinking, it applies to myself as well, but I'm thinking in terms of my clients, my law firms, the attorneys that run the firms, they know what they're best at, right? Some of them do marketing, some do casework, what have you. But when I'm talking to the marketing person, we're not trying to do anything and everything. We're trying to do what we can be consistent at, what we know that we can do well, and that we know what will generate clients for the firm.
Right. How did you realize that, okay, email marketing is the thing that I should be doing? Did you create an offer specifically for the email marketing, or did you actually do something else? What can you share?
Email marketing can take many different looks, right? We can get someone on our list and then email them every week, or and email market that way, or we can email cold people, or we can email our warm list. There's many different forms. It's like the umbrella of email marketing, and Geek Haus does a little bit of everything within that umbrella. But specifically, when we were first launching Geek Haus, I really wanted to be attached to our clients getting results, because there's a lot of agencies out there that will talk a great game, take your investment, and then not produce results. They'll produce work, but not results. And actually, it's funny because the first client of Geek Haus had a similar situation to that. And he said, one of the things that was different about you, Leonard, is that you guaranteed almost what was going to happen. And that says something when I or another agency is willing to guarantee or put some type of condition on the performance. There's some law firms that don't qualify for that, right? If it's like a startup law firm, I can't guarantee what they're going to get out of the gate. But if you're an established firm and you have a consistent process of gathering your own leads and you have an internal sales process and you can convert them and you've got staff to handle everything. If you're an up and flowing business, then I can look at that and with a pretty good certain degree of certainty, tweak some things, look at what needs to be improved to improve the flow and conversions, and then dump more leads into the top of that funnel, which is where we come in and do our marketing activity. That's how we look at it.
I noticed that you get a get more clients system.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us, is it basically a replica of what you've been doing to acquire these clients, or not really? What is it so different perhaps versus other agencies? That would be something that would be interesting to actually understand.
So you had asked a little bit about an offer, right? So the offer would be different based on what firm it is. So when we're talking about email marketing, that works really great for business type firms, right? So if you're a corporate firm, maybe you help construction companies, maybe you help other startups, or basically anyone where there's a business person on the other side who's purchasing or becoming a client. So email marketing works great for that. And we can create offers that speak to that audience. But in terms of marketing to other types of people, if I had a client who was a divorce firm, I would recommend that they do some type of social advertising, because that's where their avatar, that's where their ideal client, that's where their audience is. So when a client comes into Geek Haus, they're pretty, well, I guess not just Geek Haus, but any law firm, you can mainly fit into one of two categories. You've got consumer-based firms, which is personal injury, bankruptcy, divorce, debt settlement, anything where there's an individual who's becoming the client. But then there's another category, which is business to business type firms, which is what I mentioned. It's construction or real estate, right? It could be real estate maybe if we're representing the landlord, or we're representing a developer, or even in intellectual property could go both ways, right? It could be an individual person who's protecting and hiring the attorney to protect their work. But most of the times with an IP firm, it's going to be a business who's looking to protect their patents, trademark, or get that type of protection. So when we're looking at how we're going to market a firm, we first have to ask ourselves, where are the people who are going to become our clients? And that's when we look at, if they're businesses, then we need to reach out to them in a business way. And how do we do that? Email. Every business operates off of email. But if we're talking about consumers, do we have their emails? No, I can't get a list of all of those people. So in that sense, we have to go on a different route and do more consumer type marketing, which is social marketing for them.
Interesting. Let's say I'm a law firm that deals with bankruptcy. Did you ever create a specific offer, or was just the type of branding and messaging targeted to that kind of audience per se?
Awesome questions. In terms of marketing a firm that's consumer-based, which most firms are consumer-based, sometimes there is an offer and sometimes there's not. Even when you're running ads, like I said, if we were marketing chapstick, we could say 30% off.
Yeah.
Or we could say buy two, get four, right? Or whatever.
Right.
BOGO. Everyone likes buy one, get one. But with a law firm, are you going to buy one bankruptcy, get one bankruptcy free? Like, it doesn't work. So everyone also knows that free consultation, that's standard. So the offer, when I started doing legal marketing years ago, the offer of claim your free consultation worked really well, because people wanted to claim that. They knew they got it anyways, maybe they didn't, but it was new enough, the internet was new enough where that was an attractive offer. But now everyone knows that you get a consultation for free with an attorney. And if attorney A doesn't give it to you, attorney B will. So we most of the time want to offer free consultations unless have so many clients that we can cherry pick, and that's fine. But usually the clients that are coming to me offer free consultations, but that's not a juicy enough offer. And I talk about this in the Get More Clients system, is that if it's not a juicy offer, people are going to pass by it. Doesn't mean that they're not interested, but it means that they weren't interested enough. So when we are putting offers for a divorce firm, for a bankruptcy firm, what we're looking at is providing them value. And I like to refer to that as marketing, education-based marketing. So we might offer them some type of download. Maybe it's the 10 things you need to know about bankruptcy or before starting bankruptcy. Or maybe it's a divorce timeline so that they know, okay, I want to get divorced. I want to leave my partner, but is that going to take 4 months? Is that going to take 4 years? What does that look like? Are there 2 phases to the process? Are there 6 phases? They're a consumer. They don't know. It's scary to talk to an attorney. They can't find the information online because everything is usually one little crumb and then call our office. And that's scary. So there's no relationship that's been built. So part of the Get Client system that I do for consumer-based firms is email marketing is part of that, but also social marketing is part of that. So we'll get the client on social. So we might do Facebook ads for them. We'll start getting leads from there about people who are interested. Maybe they're not ready to start the divorce yet. Maybe they're not ready to commit to bankruptcy yet, but we know that they're interested, they're warm. So we do social advertising to get those leads. And then from there, we nurture them with email marketing. So there's still an email marketing component to a consumer firm. And by doing that, we're able to do a few things. One, we can make multiple offers because every email, we have a chance to have a call to action, an offer in that email. Maybe it's download this, maybe it's book a call here, maybe it's watch this video, maybe it's join this group or whatnot. Different practice areas, there's different temperaments of the clients, but in short, we're nurturing them and we're building a relationship. That way, after seeing the attorney appear in their inbox and share information, or the attorney appears on video, now it's not scary to pick up the phone and call Mr. or Mrs. Attorney because they know what they sound like. They know what they've seen them on video, maybe they've read something from them. So now they have a relationship. Now it's not about, remember earlier, I don't want to give you money because I'm hiring a lawyer. Well, now it's not about that. Now it's, I'm going to give this money to someone
to fix my problem.
And now I know you, I like you, I trust you. I believe that you can get me to that next step that I'm looking for, right? You can solve my unfortunate marriage. You can solve my unfortunate financial situation. So they're going to give that money to someone if the pain is painful enough. And what we're trying to do in legal marketing is be in front of them enough, be respectful enough, compassionate enough, and build enough of a relationship so that they feel comfortable starting a conversation and ultimately hiring the attorney.
So creating an audience, what's been for you the best way to start? So let's say, given that what you've learned now, I want to, let's say, start something totally separate from marketing agency for law firms, but maybe marketing agency for NFTs. What's been your process of actually creating that audience, at least as a starting point that you then develop? What's been your process?
Yeah, so in terms of creating an audience, whether it's for an agency or for a law firm, it's who you serve. It's who's going to be your customer or client at the end of the day. And so in terms of creating it for Geek Haus as the agency, we help attorneys, we help lawyers, we help law firms. So creating that audience was specifically detailed in wanting firms and attorneys and solo type attorneys, usually maybe smaller to medium firms because they don't have in-house marketing help, or they might have an in-house marketing person, but they don't have a CMO who's really steering the ship.
Right.
And then we get back into that whole activity that's not efficient type thing, because if it's an attorney and their marketing assistant or just their assistant who has some marketing duties, we probably want to hone in on those a little bit, because they're likely just spinning their wheels, or they're saying post on social, but like their clients aren't even on social. In terms of developing an audience, it's who can we serve, or who do we want to serve? Who can we best serve? And so if it was an agency that was marketing for NFTs, so I'd probably look at speaking to people who were buying NFTs. So I'd go in forums, I might have a webinar together, I might have a video, might have a lead magnet, something that would, again, education-based, giving that value, something up front to get them into my ecosystem. And then once they're in my ecosystem, it's up to me to regularly be sharing things with them about me, about NFTs, about the industry. Again, it's building that relationship.
How specific can you be?
As specific as you need to be. When I first started Geek Haus, I was reaching out to owners of law firms and marketing people at law firms, and we were doing both of those. And I understood very quickly that the attorneys who would book calls were very interested in going forward and like actually having a conversation about getting help. And I noticed that a lot of the marketing professionals in the legal industry were really interested about picking my brain, and were really interested about getting free advice about what they could implement. So not to say that now we nix out all marketing people in the legal industry, but that's definitely not our focus, because they are a marketing person for a firm. I would rather talk to the owner of that firm. It just makes more sense.
Yeah.
And so when we're looking at an audience, that's something that I've noticed in my audience. And I would imagine the same is true for any other audience. There's gatekeepers. And so we want to try to be specific enough that we weed those out, or at least that we are speaking to them in a way where they would have interest, or it would be of enough interest to bring in the owner of the firm, the actual attorney.
So as inspiration, who's been your inspirational, let's say, figure when you wanted to embark in this journey as an entrepreneur? Who's been that probably one person, 2, 3 people that actually fueled you on becoming this entrepreneur that you are today and helping a lot of people around?
Yeah, there's a lot of great names. I don't know, I'd be hard pressed to say any one specifically, but there's a lot of great mentors in the space as far as creating agencies. But rather than saying a specific mentor, I would say find someone who is doing what you want and take from them whatever you need to learn and make that your own. I know I've learned from people like great marketers like Amy Porterfield, great information marketers like Dan Henry. Those are just like big names on the top of my head, but even people like Gary Vee, right? I think it's important to always be open to what's new and always hear and implement things as you see them. I think Amy Porterfield is a great example of, she doesn't do everything all over the place. She's got a really great, solid podcast, and she's often on. Dan Henry, again, he's on social, he's got YouTube videos, he's available, he's accessible, but you don't see things like flying off the tracks, because it's done in a consistent and very methodical way. And when they're pushing their messages, I resonate with those because they're in the same spirit as what I would want. It's in our own language. So
Right.
those are the few people that I would look up to.
Very cool. And perhaps what's been the biggest lesson till today when running a business?
The biggest lesson would have to be to keep going forward. There's always going to be speed bumps. Some speed bumps are bigger than others. Sometimes you got to take a right turn or a left turn, but keep going forward. I knew before Geek Haus, I knew that this was what I wanted to do. And I took on private clients while I was still in other roles. Like I still had a full-time job, and I took on clients because I knew that was one step towards where I wanted to go. And one client turned into two clients, and one marketing strategy. Then I learned another one and saw the difference between those. So the motivation to keep moving forward, I think that's what I've learned to cultivate and to keep that momentum.
Inspiring. Leonard, where can our listeners find you and our viewers as well?
Yeah, so we are online. Our website is gogeekhaus.com. That's go, G-O, geek, G-E-E-K, and then we spell house, H-A-U-S.com. So that's our website. And I am online everywhere at Leonard Scheiner. So Leonard, and Scheiner is Scheiner.
Leonard, thank you so much for your time. It was a really pleasure to speak to you, to pick a bit of your brain, and hopefully we can chat soon. Come back with maybe new topics coming up. Once again, thank you once again for coming on, and I wish you all the best. And
thank you, Fabio.
Cheers.
Cheers.